Okay, this is a Mallett Technology Tech Tip. This tip is how to use user-defined results. Matt, the presentation is yours.
Thanks, Dan. And to demonstrate this user-defined result tech tip today, we're going to use a two-part sliding assembly model that I just solved recently. And this is a simple electronics enclosure that has sliding contact and sort of a snap fit for the top cover coming into place. And if any of you are doing these types of models, hopefully you're also post-processing things like contact pressure. And we know that we can look at this contact pressure over the duration of the assembly sequence and get some nice results on what that pressure distribution looks like at all stages of the assembly. However, you might want to go a little bit further than that. You can probe results and get numeric readouts that way, or you might also be interested in figuring out, maybe the contact distribution along a certain edge of the model. And up to this point, you may have been searching for a way to do that. Looking at all your menu options up here, you might have happened across this user-defined result. And if you select that edge and add that user-defined result, at this point you're left with an input requiring some type of expression. And once again, maybe you're not sure what expression it's looking for here. So we're not really giving you much clue as far as what your input should be here. So really, the key to a user-defined result is to highlight the solution branch and just turn on your worksheet tab. And when you do that, you're going to see a list of result quantities that ANSYS will calculate and store for every analysis that you do. And these could be stress and strain components that might not be available on the regular default result pull downs, or they could be items that we calculate that just haven't been programmed into an icon or a menu option somewhere. So if we scroll down this list far enough, we can find a quantity here called contact pressure. And with this, the nice thing about this table is you can simply right mouse button and do create user-defined result. And now out here, you can scope that to whatever piece of geometry that you want. In this case, we're going to scope it back to that edge, and we're going to evaluate that. And now we can see, if I switch back to my graph, at certain time points, we can see contours of what the contact pressure in this case looks like along that edge of the model. Okay. At this point, you still might want additional detail on what the contact pressure is at each one of those locations along that edge. So for that, we can take a slightly different approach. We can show our mesh here and go into our select mesh option and really narrow down to perhaps nodal locations along that edge. So I'm going to create name selections. We're going to call this press node 1. And I'm going to grab 2 more nodes here, create name selections of those as well. And the third one. So now I have 3 name selections representing a series of nodes in my region of interest where I want those contact pressures. So once again, go to the worksheet, find that, create a user-defined result of it, and I'll just duplicate that once and twice. So in this one, now we can change the scope method to name selection, and I can grab that first node, that second node, and finally the third node. And when I evaluate those, now I can get a graph of contact pressure at a specific node over the entire sequence of the assembly. We no longer get contours, but we get tabular values of PSI at a node location. Okay. And then taking this one step further, if you want a nice superimposed graph of these, We might rename this one here to node 1. Rename this one here to node 2. And rename this one to node 3. And then we can use our chart feature to grab all 3 of those, chart them, and now we have a nice pressure versus time plot of the contact pressure at nodes through the entire assembly sequence. And you can add labels to this. This might be time. This would be contact pressure. And you can control what things you want. Maybe we want to turn off the minimums here. So that's another tech tip from Mallett Technology, this one describing use of user-defined results, specifically in this case for determining contact pressure at a node. Thanks for joining us.